begin this experiment, the measurements of the short and long circumference, as well as the mass, were taken before egg moji was exposed to any solution. On the first day, egg moji was placed into a vinegar solution and soaked for 1 day. The next day, it was taken out of the solution, rinsed under water, and the short and long circumference and the mass were taken after it soaked.
This process was repeated 2 more times, changing the solution from vinegar to water and then water to a sugar solution. The data was recorded after each trial. After that, egg moji was placed into the beaker with the specific solution, and plastic wrap was placed on the top to prevent evaporation. This was done over a 5-day period. All 3 hypotheses were supported after conducting the experiments. The first hypothesis, which was that if an egg was placed in a vinegar solution, then the outer shell will soften and fall off. This was supported because after it sat in vinegar for a day, it absorbed the vinegar and the shell was eaten away by the vinegar. The second hypothesis, which was that if an egg is placed in water, then it will become larger. This was supported because the mass went from 70.63 grams to 72.71 grams, and the long and short circumference increased as well. The third hypothesis stated that if an egg is placed in a sugar solution, then it will become smaller. This was also supported because after soaking the solution for a day, the egg seemed to lose fluid and shape. The mass and short and long circumference both decreased by a large amount.
There were many sources of error throughout these experiments. For example, after the egg had soaked in vinegar for 3 days, it fell through the drain of the sink. This was a careless mistake that could have been prevented by handling the egg more carefully and possibly covering the drain while conducting the experiment. Another source of error could have been that the measurements in the mass were slightly off because it was measured in different spots each time. One more example of an error is that there could have been different amounts of each solution, which could have affected how much entered and exited the egg. These are just a few examples of many sources of error.
This experiment was just a basis to the beginning of many more experiments. To expand on this experiment, the egg could be placed in many more solutions that are isotonic, hypertonic, or hypotonic. Also, one could leave the egg in a room temperature air after it has soaked in a hypertonic, hypotonic, or isotonic solution. This experiment could be done to see what happens after an egg is exposed to a solution and then left out of the solution. This same experiment could be conducted with many different types of eggs. Clearly, many experiments could expand on this one. The short circumference of egg moji increased from 14 centimeters to 14.5 centimeters.
The long circumference of egg moji increased from 16 centimeters to 16.5 centimeters. The mass of egg moji increased from 57.88 grams to 70.63 grams.
The egg expanded in size and lost its hard outer shell.
The egg is hypotonic compared to the vinegar, so water rushed into the egg.
The vinegar ate away the outer shell of egg moji, but did not eat all the way through because it's not strong enough.
Both the short and long circumference increased for the egg. Each one increased by 0.5 centimeters. The short circumference went from 14.5 centimeters to 15 centimeters, and the long circumference went from 16.5 centimeters to 17 centimeters.
The mass of egg moji increased from 70.63 grams to 72.71 grams.
It expanded and seemed to be filled with more water, and it also appeared softer and wider.
The water was hypertonic compared to the egg, so water rushed into the egg, causing it to become filled with fluid. In the sugar solution, the short circumference decreased from 15 centimeters to 11.5 centimeters.
The long circumference decreased from 17 centimeters to 13 centimeters, and the mass decreased from 72.71 grams to 39.91 grams.
This happened because the sugar solution was hypotonic compared to the egg moji.